This is Kamera again. We're on day number 124, First Chronicles, chapter 9 through 11. Starts off reminding us that the children of Judah were sent into exile to Babylon because they were unfaithful to God. Then it talks about how that some of the children of Israel started to go back to Israel. Some of the tribes were the Levites, the temple servants. You had the Benjamites, some of the people from Judah, Ephraim, Manasseh. Yeah. And then it talks about when they went to Jerusalem. It says that there were at least 690 family members of Judah, 956 families of Benjamin, and that there were 1,760 Levites who went to their towns. Remember, the Levites didn't have their own territory, but there were 1,760 who went back to Israel. Talks a lot about the gatekeepers, their responsibilities, and they had big responsibilities. They were responsible for the articles of the temple, the signing in, signing out, the opening, closing of the gates. Big responsibility. Pointing out some of the people who were the original gatekeepers, like Phinehas, mentioned Zechariah, and I believe Korah was also part of the gatekeepers. 212 people were part of the gatekeepers, I believe. But yeah, spent a lot of time talking about those gatekeepers. They had a huge responsibility. And it talks about King Saul. Again, Chronicles is basically recounting what we've already read. You may see that there's a lot more detail in Chronicles, but it talks about King Saul, the battle, how he went down, him and his boys, and how he not only how he went down, but how his mighty warriors came and retrieved his body. Yeah, discuss some of the things that Saul had done that disappointed God, and because he was unfaithful, why he died, because he was unfaithful to God. I mean, I know we all have to die, but it did let us know that Saul had become very unfaithful to God and some of the things he had done. They say that's why he died. That's why he died. And you'll notice that in the previous book, how David died. David died I guess he was old at that time, or it was just time for him to go. But he didn't die a horrible death, not like Saul. The reason why I compared him to David was because David was a faithful man of God, and he did not die a horrible death. Saul was an unfaithful man to God, unfaithful to God, and because of his unfaithfulness, and he would start turning to mediums and stuff. So, yeah. Anyway, they covered that about Saul. Then we talk about how when David first became king of all of Israel. Remember, he was king of Judah for a bit, but they don't mention that in this section. They just said when he became king of all of Israel, how they anointed him as king. Talks about when David and the children of Israel went to Jerusalem. Jerusalem was originally owned by the Jebusites, and they had this one city this fortified city called Zion, the Fortress of Zion, and they basically tried David and told David, you'll never get in here. Well, he got in there. He got in there. He made a deal with his men that whoever first attacked the Jebusites, the first one to attack the Jebusites, will be the one who becomes the commander of his army. And it was, guess who it was? Take a guess. Okay, take a guess if you haven't read it. But if you've already read it, you already know it was Joab. You know about that Joab, right? David, once he took the Fortress of Zion, he renamed that to the City of David, and that's where he resided. He rebuilt the city to be City of David, but he had Joab was the one who rebuilt Jerusalem. Yeah, just a little bit about him. So, yeah, and it talked about, we went over the mighty warriors before and what made them famous and why they were mighty. And they did that again in Chronicles. So again, we saw the mighty warriors. They talked about the three popular ones, most famous ones like Abishai. Yeah, went through the whole list of David's mighty warriors. Okay, so there we have it, guys. That's day number 124. First Chronicles 9 through 11. You have a God-filled blessed day.